Hey, Jonathan Taylor's having himself a hell of a year, leading the NFL in rushing, and the last 2 weeks he's been the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So that's pretty good. No Colt has ever done that. 2 consecutive AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. A lot of really, really good football has been played by this team on the offensive side of the ball. But nobody, Andrew Luck, nobody, Jonathan Taylor has. So we want to know what separates, what is in the mind of Jonathan Taylor? What is the thing that makes him really good in the second half getting all this done? I mean, Jonathan Taylor is averaging in the second half better than 8 yards per carry. That is some serious running. Does he get stronger as the game goes on? Do defenders not want to hit him as much? What is it? We asked Jonathan Taylor.
Especially with physical teams, like last week, Tennessee is going to be a physical team. That's what they pride themselves on. So throughout that week of practice, you got to understand, you got to play a full 60 minutes, and you're going to have to establish that line of scrimmage because that's what they pride themselves on.
Jonathan, can you sense because you're averaging, I think, over 8 yards a carry in the second half? The season was absurd, but can you sense when you guys got it rolling and you can feel that wear-on effect on the other team?
Definitely, especially once you start kind of going at a little tempo and the 5s start going into 6s and 7-yard runs and then 8-yard runs. So you're close, but you have to stay committed. You got to, like I said, you got to stay consistent because then eventually one is going to go, and then when one goes, you got to make them pay.
Jonathan, is your vision and maybe your understanding of opposing defenses farther ahead now than it was back in 2021?
Oh, most definitely. I think it has to be. If it wasn't, I would be upset.
Just how has that benefited you at this point in your career?
It just gives a pre-snap. Everything is pre-snap. X's and O's move once the ball is snapped, but it gives you a pre-snap sense of where the ball may hit, where this play might be best executed. But then if you have to make adjustments on the fly, you got to make adjustments.
Obviously, you work hard in the offseason and you prepare to keep your body maintained. But is there something with that preparation, other than just talent, that helps you get in and out of those breaks so fast and be able to accelerate?
Oh, yeah, that's all in the
That's
training.
Work on
that's all in the training. And then in the off season, it's even more intense because it may not be 30 seconds, before you take the next rep. You may get a rep and then you go right back to the line. So you try to make the off season as tough as possible in order to prepare yourself for those things, but you definitely have to train that, getting in and out of those breaks quickly, doing it when your legs are tired so that when game time comes, you're ready to go.
You had, I think you finished last season relatively healthy. Does that enables you, I guess, to train differently? Is that fair?
Oh, it always does. Whenever you don't have to start the season off getting back to baseline, you get a head start on just prepping your body for your intense training. You always go into an off season and you kind of build up your training, but once you have to get back to baseline, that takes time. So whenever you can come out of the season healthy and then start on a normal off-season routine, you want to take full advantage of that.
JT, kind of going off that, your workload so far this year is kind of like 2021. It really hadn't been like that in 22 and 23. And obviously you've battled some injuries, but are you surprised that it's been at that amount already this season?
No, not surprised. That's what you do in the off season. You work like you're gonna take every snap. You got to prepare your body for the workload. If you get less, then that's a plus for your body. But if not, you're prepared. So there are no surprises.
You mentioned you just sort of have to stay with it and stay with it. A 5 turns into a 6 and a 6 into a 7. What allows you to, in the first half, Denver, you're like 11 for 38. It was really tough going. And then what allows you to kind of weather a slow first half, if that's right?
Yeah, like you said, you have to stay committed. Games like that, it's going to be a challenge. It was never going to be easy, but it's going to be a full 60 minutes. So until the clock strikes 0, you still have the ability to make a play. You still have the ability to gain a positive run. So just understanding that and knowing maybe that's your role for today. Maybe this was just a game like, hey, we got to get those tough yards. You may come out with 50 yards, but you get the win. Everybody's happy. So you just have to understand the task at hand ultimately, which is getting the win.
You've never complained when somebody else gets the ball, obviously, but is it fair? Do you feel like you get better? You've said this before. You get better over the course of a game. You get stronger.
You definitely do, because then you definitely feel how the defenders are playing, whether they're a fast flow team, whether they like the lag back. So you kind of just get an understand of how do they want to attack me, how do they want to defend me. So I guess as the game goes on, you get more acquainted with one another for that day.
Jonathan, Shane has said that pre-snap he's really happy with what Daniel Jones has done in the huddle and just knowing where the ball's going and all that. And understandably, in the passing game, I think that's easy to understand, know where you want to go. What about in the running game? How important is the pre-snap game and getting the team in the right scenario for you?
I mean, it's all about numbers, especially if you have a certain look up, especially a defense up, and you don't like the numbers. We may be out leveraged. You want to be able to check away from that, whether it's to a pass or run pass, whatever the case is. But it's all a numbers game in the running game. And of course, sometimes things can happen, and you make guys miss. But at the end of the day, the most logical thing is, hey, they have 5 over there, when they have 4, we're going this way.
JT, not trying to jinx anything, but the Bucks, Bills, Bucks, I know you're gonna be mad at me. The Bucks, Bills, and you guys are the only teams not to use the T word, give the ball away to the other team so far. Does Daniel deserve a lot of that credit? Why have you guys been so successful with that?
You have to work on it every single day. Every single day we go over ball security. Coach Smith does a great job of addressing it with the team. And it's something that you have to take pride in, especially as a running back, something that you have to take pride in. But anybody who's carrying the football, my running back coach in college used to always say, like, you're carrying the hopes and dreams of the organization. So, you have to just be very conscious with that. So we're going to continue to work hard and try to continue that in the weeks going forward.
There's Jonathan Taylor. Now, last week against the Eagles, that Rams defense was really, really good, limiting Saquon Barkley to under 50 yards rushing. We'll see what Jonathan Taylor's got in the tank and see what that offensive line can do against a really kind of a finesse group in that front 7 for the Los Angeles Rams. See if he can do it a 3rd straight time. That, I'm certain, has never been done by a Colt, because the record prior to Jonathan Taylor doing it his 2nd time was 1.